So here we are inside the Autotrail V-Line 635 SE. If we first go to the main control panel, you will see we turn the 12 volt on and off on this button here. Beneath that we have the main isolator for all of the onboard lights. It does not do the spotlights. They have to be individually turned on and off on these switches here, and then all the other lights can then be turned off on all of their own switches as well. Next we have the water pump. So water pump needs to be on for us to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained. Next we have the awning light. Then we have information, so we can select the vehicle battery if we want to, like so, or back to the leisure. Whichever battery you've selected on here is the battery you're using to run the back end of the motorhome. Whichever battery you've also selected on here whilst you're hooked up to the main supply is the battery that you are charging. Next we have internal temperature and the humidity. We can adjust the time just by pressing this one here, and then we go back to the beginning again. So as you can see, it just goes round and round in a circle, just giving us information regarding water, batteries, etc. If we now move across, we then come to the Truma Combi control panel. It's currently just displaying the time and letting us know that we have main supply connected. If we now press this button here, you'll see we get all these icons, and as I begin to rotate, they begin to flash. If we start with the first icon here, so if I now click, you'll see this one is for your heating. So just rotate to turn the heating on, and then pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the van, right the way up to 30 degrees. So let's say 21, click on it to store it in, and you'll see a little flame just appears above. That little flame there just represents the heating, and it will flash when the heating is actually in operation. If I now rotate, we have hot water. So again, click, rotate. We can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost. The boost is very handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a longer shower. If you do perform the boost and the heating is actually running, the heating will turn off, as it needs to take the power to do it. But I will now put it into hot, and as you can see, it's now flashing, and it will continue to flash until 60 degrees is achieved. If we now rotate again, this next one picks the power source that you want to be running on. We're currently using mains electricity, as displayed up here with the little lightning strikes, and we're using mains using 2 kilowatts. I can rotate and lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt if we're on a low amp site. We can run in dual fuel, so we can run on a mixture of the gas supply and mains at 2 kilowatt. Very handy in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature really quickly, and it only uses gas as it's required. We can use a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt, and if we don't have any mains at all, we can solely run on gas. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating system. So currently the fan is in eco mode. What we can do is turn it up to high. What this fan can also do, if I now just go and turn everything back off again, is vent the motorhome. And it has a fan speed of 1 to 10, and then the fan will spin and just circulate the air around the motorhome. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one in the corner here is for a basic timer. Just literally pick what time you want it to begin and what time you want it to finish, and then just tell it what you want on within that timer. Once you activate the timer icon will come up there, and then within whatever time period you've set, those settings would then apply. If I now turn the timer back off again, the next time we go to it, we can obviously alter it again. Obviously, if you're going to be using a timer, it helps if the time's correct, and that's all this one here does. The last one is for your settings menu. So within that we have offset, which is just for the thermostat. So if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it by a few degrees. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these units will throw up error codes. It will usually be something fairly basic, like it's telling you it doesn't have main supply connected, or you don't have any gas. And an error code will appear where my finger is here as a warning triangle. If you then click on that, it will then display a series of letters and numbers. And then if you look in the manual or on Truma's website, or even just Google it, it will let you know what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, if you rectify the problem, the error code will just disappear. If it doesn't just disappear, just go back to it and double click on it, and then sometimes it will say no error. If you've done that, I always then suggest, if you've still got anything running like I have at the moment, make sure it's all turned off. If that still doesn't work, we can do the age-old turn it off and turn it back on again. So if we now turn it completely off just by holding it in, and then wait until the off has disappeared and then turn it back on again. If this doesn't work, what I always then suggest is that you do the full factory reset, because sometimes they can just glitch. And then if we turn it back on again, there we go. What we can also do with this, if I now hold this down and leave it where it says app, we can put it in a semi-dormant state, so we can control it just by our mobile phone or a tablet. If you are going to do this, what you need to do is come to the iNet box just at the rear of the van, and you'll see it here. What you need to do is make sure that you've downloaded the Truma app onto your device, make sure the Bluetooth is turned on, and then launch it. When you launch it, you will see a button that needs to be pressed that says remote control. If you press that and then follow the on-screen instructions, it will firstly ask you to come to this box and press the Bluetooth button. Once you've pressed it, you will then commence connecting up. Once you have connected, you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. If you want to use it from further afield, what you can do is add a pay-as-you-go SIM card, which is just here where my finger is. It just needs to be inserted here. Once you've inserted it and then registered it through the app, this red GSM light will then go solid. If we now move back to the front of the van, you'll see we have storage above here, and at the moment we have the mains lead, the auto trail brolly, the winding handle for the roll-out canopy. Here we have a main socket, and then if we then look up, we have another one, aerial fly lead point and 12 volt point for another television if you wanted to. You will also see that the tabletop sits here, and you will see a few fuses. They are all labelled up, and then more for stuff on the outside of the van like marker lights, and for like the 12 volt feed from the vehicle to the fridge. We then have the basin just here. The 3-ring gas burner hob, very easy to use. Push in, twist and press the igniter. Just like so. Beneath that we have the oven and grill. If we now push in to the left, we'll fire up the oven. And if we then turn it back and we go to the right, we will then fire up the grill. Beneath it, we have the location of the water pump. And if we just go into this cupboard here, we have the location of the majority of the gas taps. They're all in the on position. They can stay like that, they're more for maintenance than anything else. If you do smell gas in the van, I do suggest that you go underneath and you isolate it at the gas tank itself. We have the microwave just here. It's plugged in this overhead locker just here. Fairly standard microwave. I do again suggest that you remove the plate etc. for travel, and then it behaves virtually like any microwave. Twist for your time. You've got your start, stop just here, etc. We then have the washroom. So we have the shower just here, and then the Thetford cassette toilet. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever just here, blue button to flush, level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. I'll then just close it back up again. If this is not closed and you try to remove the cassette, it will not come out. We then have the basin just here. When tipping away, do tip away nice and slowly. And then you've got your storage in your vanity cabinet just here. More awkward to do when you've got gloves on. There we go. We have the wardrobe just here. In here we just have fire extinguisher and a pole for the table. Beneath that we have the Dometic fridge. So on and off on this one here. So off, on. Mains electricity on the 2pm plug. If you want to run it on gas, these will auto ignite themselves. And then the last one, 12 volt maintain for when you are driving. At the moment the engine's not running, so when I press it, it's going to beep and we're going to get a red flashing light just here. This is what we'll get if we've tried to light it on gas and it's failed, or if you've been running it on main supply and you trip or you pull your lead out, etc. If it's failed on gas but you know you have gas and it may just be due to the fact of a bit of air in the system, this does work as a gas reset. Temperature control just on this one here, and then it's just pushed down to open. Above the television we have the solar panel controller just here to basically pick which battery you want to be charging. You just use the rocker switch here. In the middle we're off. If we flick it down, we will be charging the leisure battery, and if we flick it up, we will be charging the vehicle battery. We then just have the remote control, etc. for the Avtex television just here. This Avtex TV does have a DVD player in it and USB ports as well. The consumer unit just sits here. So we have the trip switches just here. So we've got the 3 individual MCBs, the RCD and the test button, and they are all labelled up. And then we have the 12 volt fuses just here, all numbered up and again labelled just here. We have isolator switches just here for components that use main supply. So the green one is for the battery charger, so we can turn that on and off. Obviously we want that on when we're hooked up so we can charge the batteries. And if we turn the one off labelled heater, all that we will get is an error code appear on the Truma Combi control panel. So again, they're more for maintenance. The last one here is full system shutdown. So if you're planning on not using the van for a month, 2 months or so, you can press this and it will kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. The location of the leisure battery is underneath this bench sheet here. So if we go underneath, you will see we have storage, but we also have the location of the leisure battery here and the main fuse as well. If we now go underneath this bench seat just here, you will be able to see the Truma Combi boiler just here.